Hello, McHenry High School students, parents, guardians, everyone who is watching this. We are live, if you're watching us live here on Tuesday evening, January 14th, and we're going to be talking about course selection for the 25-26 school year. So again, we welcome students, parents, guardians of current freshmen, current sophomores, and current juniors. Over the course of this presentation, as you can tell by looking at the bottom of the screen, you can ask us questions live. That's one of the beauties of doing this live as opposed to a pre-recorded presentation. We might have folks that are watching the recorded version of that, and this is a-okay as well. But if you are watching live, you can actually right there in the comments box in YouTube, type in your question, and at the end of the presentation, we will respond to any questions that our parents, guardians, and students have. The last thing we want is for you to walk away from this more confused and anxious about the process than when we started. Speaking of getting started, let's go ahead with introductions. You know who your presenters are. My name is Curtis Menke. I'm the college and career counselor here at McHenry High School. Ms. Buchanan, would you like to go next?
Sure. I'm Amy Buchanan. I have juniors, the class of 2026, A through LE.
I can follow that. I'm Kate Schock. I have juniors, class of 2026, LF through Z.
And then I'm Nicole Bacigalupo. I have sophomores, last names A through LE.
So, Ms. Sadler, I think you're muted right now if you want to give that another shot.
Yes. So I'm Sarah Sadler. I have sophomores, class of 2027, LF through Z.
And I'm J.R. Boshin. I'm a freshman counselor, class of 2028, and I have students with last names A through LE.
I'm Tyler Brossard. I also have freshmen, the class of 2028, with the last names LF through Z.
All right. Thank you to all my colleagues. I'm going to take everyone off screen. Mr. Boshin, be ready to jump back in here in a couple of slides. So moving on, before we get too started, again, this kind of speaks to my role. As students are thinking about courses for next school year, we do encourage them to consider any next step options that they may have. As always, we do not expect our students to have the magic career or the magic route or pathway in mind, but we do want them to at least think about the ideas that they have beyond our walls. What might you be doing a year or two or three down the road, and how can our elective choices especially put you in a position to explore those ideas, expand on those ideas, maybe even find that passion. That's something that sparks a particular something for you. All right, Mr. Boshin, I'm going to pull you back on screen here as we go on to the next slide. Take it away, Mr. Boshin.
Perfect. Thank you, Curtis. So for today's agenda, this is going to be what we're going to cover. We're going to touch on our ACT prep opportunity. We're going to use this time to really focus on our timeline for course selection, some resources and factors to consider, and then we're going to go right into how to enter courses in PowerSchool, looking at those placement options and how we're going to go about entering electives. Last but not least, we will recap and then we'll answer all of those questions at the end. So, looking at our Warrior Prep opportunity, you're going to notice the words ACT, or the letters ACT, I should say. That is not a misprint at all. We are switching over from SAT to ACT. And so we want to make sure that all of our students have, that information in front of them. And so that they can, by the time junior year rolls around, basically have a great idea of expectations and be able to perform their best on that test. Here is our timeline for course selection. So with it being the 14th already of January, PowerSchool has been opened. We had a couple bugs on the early onset with culinary arts not being an option, but we have since fixed that. So if students were mentioning that they wanted to sign up for that class, but for whatever reason weren't able to, it is all fixed so they can go in and change that. After Martin Luther King Day, we're actually going to be meeting with students individually based on classes, They're going to meet with their individual counselor, and we're going to go through each one of their selections to make sure that they have the right number of courses, and meet with them to answer any additional questions they may have regarding their placements, regarding any classes that pertain to them and their grade level. So by the end of the month, we are expecting that all level change forms, and I know that we will go through this process further on in the presentation, but that is an opportunity for students to really, I would say, challenge some of our recommendations. So if they were recommended for an honors course, an honors English course, an honors math course, but you're thinking that might be too much for your student, you would just have to fill out this level change form, and that lets us know that you're really challenging that placement. Similarly, if you feel like your student could be in an honors course, you could fill out one of those level change forms to, again, indicate to us that you would like them to be more challenged in their curriculum. The last piece of this timeline is summer school. We have a pretty robust summer school program. Typically, it coincides with our course selection process. This year, we had to migrate over to Power School, and so we just want to make sure that all the bugs are kind of worked out. So that is going to open up January 24th for students to register for classes like driver's ed, all of our Get Ahead courses, any remedial courses that they have to do, credit recovery, things of that nature. That's all going to open up on the 24th. And I don't have a time currently, but I know that it's usually a busy time for our summer school people. So when we start talking about course selection, we do have some tips for our students. We know that not every single student knows exactly what they want to do after high school, which is totally fine. We have a ton of courses to offer our students. We just want to encourage them to basically pick with a purpose. So, if we look at those reasons to avoid picking a course, so don't necessarily pick what your peers are picking. Don't pick what your significant other is picking. Really choose courses that are going to best prepare you for whatever it is that you want to do. And that you is really the student. And so it's a great opportunity for students to explore courses, to get additional training or preparatory work, to maybe prepare them for something that they're interested in, to really explore those interests and those passions and try to figure out how to balance their time, because unfortunately they just can't do everything. We do also have links embedded into this presentation, which will be shared with our audiences. So whether you're live or you're watching this at a later date, you can just click on those links and be directed exactly to the information that is shared on this site. Speaking of pathways, we offer a variety of courses for all students. These are just some of our pathways. We're constantly trying to improve and offer more courses that better prepare our students for, industries within our community, growing industries or interests that students have conveyed to our staff. So this is one example of our new courses for 25-26 school year. We are going to be offering a criminal justice course, which is open to any student in grades 10 through 12. The only prerequisite is that they have to complete and pass youth and law. The second course that we're offering will be dual credit. So anytime you see DC in front of a course, it's referring to dual credit. So they will get high school credit plus credit from MCC. It's a half credit course for grades 10 through 12. It's basically a great opportunity for them to get that fine arts credit without having to be an artist. And the last thing that we should note is that graphic communication design 2 is now a dual credit course. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Menke.
Thank you, Mr. Boshin. Back to me. So I'm going to take just a couple quick moments to remind our parents and guardians regarding how our students can take care of possibly earn some college credit while they're here. Again, I'm not pushing that word onto every one of our students and families, but for students that do desire to try to chip away at some college credit while they're with us, there's 3 main ways that they can do that. Way one is through the seal of biliteracy. So basically, by the time a student gets to senior year, if they can demonstrate fluency in 2 languages, with one of those typically being English, then that might actually get them some free college credit. That credit through this is typically accepted at any of the public schools in Illinois. MCC is a public community college, as well as the 12 public universities, Northern, Southern, Eastern, Western Illinois State, U of I, and so on and so forth. The next way to earn college credit with us is by taking the AP exam at the end of an AP course. Again, we have 20 different AP courses that we offer here in a variety of areas. For our freshmen coming over to the upper campus next year, AP World History is available. AP Psychology also opens up as an elective. And for our current sophomores going into junior year, those AP course opportunities really do expand. As always, make sure you're talking with your teachers regarding what course is appropriate for you, just kind of based on where you're at skill-wise in that content area. And also consider just your balance. It's one thing to take an accelerated course. It's another thing to take 4 of them at a time when you're carrying 6 or 7 different classes overall. The other way that our students can earn college credit while they're with us at McHenry High School is probably the most obvious, and that is through our dual credit courses. Using a word Mr. Boshin used before, we offer a robust offering of dual credit classes here at McHenry High School. I am incredibly proud. Over the last several years, we have really ramped up our dual credit offerings. A couple slides ago, Mr. Boshin mentioned that Graphics 2 is going to be dual credit. We've got that brand new art appreciation class. I will say regarding that art appreciation class, if you're like me and can barely read your own handwriting, that art appreciation class has nothing to do with making art. It's learning about art. So again, take a look. The classes on this screen in bold typically cover college general education requirements, whereas the ones towards the bottom can kind of start chipping away to major, possibly transfer as elective credits depending on where someone goes and what they might major in. A couple other quick things, and these are kind of little known facts. For our students who complete our autos classes as well as our preschool classes, and if they go to MCC for either of those, they can actually knock out a free class. MCC basically just gives them a free class, either autos or preschool, if they exhaust our classes in those areas, and then they continue at MCC. That's called articulated credit. And then at the bottom of this screen, we also offer courses called quote unquote dual enrollment classes. That is where our students actually begin their day at MCC, and the yellow highlighted areas at the bottom of this slide. I'm going to move on to the next slide here to kind of go into this one in a little more. So basically, students who are considering careers in fire science, EMT, criminal justice, HVAC, which MCC just added this year, and it's an amazing program over there, as well as software design and development, our students can actually begin their day at MCC. They're there for the equivalent of first and second period. They drive back to our campus to continue on in their day from third period on. I am going to have an information session to go into a lot more detail on this for students a week from today, so Tuesday the 21st during AIM and the College and Career Center. So if your student is considering any one of the career areas on the screen right now, urge them to come, and I'll give them more information about what it is. There is a cost to it as well. So I just want to make sure everybody is on the same page. And then together as a family, you can decide if this is the right program for you. So a couple of questions that come up, especially in my role at this time of the year, AP versus dual credit. I've been getting this question a lot recently, especially from current sophomores and current juniors. In almost every case, if a student asks me, well, what are colleges going to like better, AP or dual credit? There's a couple easy examples. So for sophomores going into junior year, what's going to help me more, dual credit U.S. history or AP U.S. history? In almost every case, colleges don't care. They look at them the exact same way. Another example that comes up, instance, I should say, that comes up a lot is for current juniors going into senior year. Do I take AP literature for my English class, or do I look at those dual credit writing classes? And again, in almost every circumstance, colleges look at them exactly the same way. There's nationwide, if you can believe it, there are over 2,600 four-year colleges. And of those 2,600, all but about 60 look at AP and dual credit as exactly the same rigor. So again, there's no advantage or disadvantage one way or the other. Again, the 60 schools of those 2,600 that do prefer AP, those are your most difficult schools to get into, or most selective, if you want to use the industry language. That's Northwestern, that's the University of Chicago, Stanford, your Ivy schools. Aside from those 60 or so colleges, though, the other 2,500 plus nationwide look at AP and dual credit exactly the same as far as rigor, admission standards, and whatnot. Quick note for our students who are considering competing in college athletics, especially for those skilled and gifted enough to perform possibly at the Division I or II level, make sure your counselor knows that. Basically, we have to make sure that your student takes classes that are approved by the NCAA as far as our course offerings go, and we want to make sure that your student is ready to hit the ground running if they choose to participate in student athletics in college. So again, just make sure that your counselor knows if college athletics is something that they're going for. A couple other quick things that just kind of come up a lot at this time of the year. There are some four-year colleges that for admissions purposes require a credit of quote unquote fine arts, or sometimes fine or performing arts. Fine arts are typically defined as art classes. Performing arts can be typically music or theater classes. I do give some examples on the screen. Any of the public schools in California, you have to take a fine art credit in high school to go there. Ohio State, Tennessee, Kentucky are other examples as well. And as I put at the very bottom of the screen, you can always check with the undergraduate admissions requirements page on a college website. And if you're not sure, send me an email. I'll help you look it up. Again, I want to make sure that your student has the right schools in front of them when they hit senior year. On a very similar note, and this one comes up much more often, there are some colleges that do require 2 credits of the same world language. So in other words, 1 year of Spanish 1 and 1 year of French 1 still equals 1 year of a world language. It has to be 2 years of the same world language. The University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign is probably the most popular local example of that. I will say there are many more colleges that don't require a world language than do. So again, if a student doesn't take world language in high school, it does not mean they can't go to a four-year college. It just means they can't start at some four-year colleges. I don't have an exact number in front of me, but I estimate that approximately 20% of those 2,600 four-year colleges do require 2 years of a language, but there's more that don't than do. I'll give one other quick example. In Illinois, there are 12 four-year public universities. Again, U of I, Illinois, Chicago, Illinois State, Northern, Southern, Eastern, Western. Of those 12 four-year public universities, the only one that requires 2 years of a world language to get in is the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. So kind of the lesson here is, do you have to have world language in high school to go to college? No. Do you have to have 2 years to have every option in front of you come senior year? Yes. So again, as a family, we encourage you to talk that through and make the decision that makes the most sense for you. All right. I think I'm going to be pulling Ms. Bacigalupo back on screen right now to talk about courses that appear as placements in Power School. Ms. Bacigalupo.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So like Mr. Mankey said, I'm going to talk about what you're going to see when you log into Power School, or your student logs into Power School. When you see their courses for next year, you're going to see placements in their core classes. So you're going to see an English placement, math placement, science placement, and social science placement. These placements are based off of current performance in the class and teacher recommendation. The word I'm going to highlight in that sentence is recommendation. These are not set in stone. These are not concrete classes. We want to make sure that parents know that you have a seat at the table when it comes to course selection. You are very important stakeholders. So when you're talking to your students about classes for next year, just know these are recommendations based on how they're doing now, but those classes can be changed. Like Mr. Boshin said earlier, you can challenge those classes. So let's say you have a current sophomore who is recommended for AP US History, AP Lang, Honors Pre-Calc, and AP Physics next year. But you know that your student is going to be in a sport, they want a job, and they're involved in some clubs and activities, and that's just a lot to have on their plate, and we've got to step back in one of those classes. What you can do is you can fill out a level change form. What this is it's a Google form that is on our district website. We can give students access to it, and you fill it out and request a different class. I'll go into more detail about this in a minute, but just know that that form does have a due date. It's due January 31st. Current juniors, you will see a math and science placement when you log in. So you'll see in a minute, we'll talk about graduation requirements. Students only need 3 years of math and science. Current juniors have a placement for a 4th year in case they want to continue in those classes. Again, that's recommended, but not required. So for students who are looking to go to college after high school or are looking to have jobs that involve math or science, they have placements there if they want to take those classes so they know which class is appropriate for them. For our students who are not looking to take a math or science, not a big deal. They can tell their counselor during our one-on-one meetings in the next couple of weeks to take those classes away. Or parents, you can simply reach out as well with a phone call, email, and just let the counselor know, hey, you know what, my student's not interested in those classes. Can you remove them? No big deal. So for that level change process, there is a Google form. What you do is you would write your student's information, the class that they're recommended to take, so the class that you're not really agreeing with, the class that you would prefer them to take. And if you have any questions about what that preferred class would be, again, please reach out to a counselor. We can let you know what the options are. Once that form is submitted, the divisionals of each department review that form. One of the biggest misconceptions about course selection is that counselors are the ones who determine what classes students should be in and can change them. Actually, it's not true. They don't give us all of that power. The divisionals will review them. And those are great people to reach out to if you're not sure if that class is appropriate for your student and you want another set of eyes on it, or if you have questions about the curriculum of that class. So for English, the division chair is Mrs. Namakutis. For social science, it's Mr. Sterner. For math, it's Mrs. Lucas. For science, it's Mr. Beagle. And fine arts world language is Mrs. Bennett. So again, if you have questions about those classes, you want to know more about them, you can reach out to those individuals. And I want to reiterate, the level change deadline is January 31st. It is so important that parents, you fill out that form in time, because we have parents who come to us in August or even after school has started, and they want to change levels for their student. And unfortunately, based on numbers, we might not have seats for the class your student would prefer to be in at that time. So the earlier you fill out that form, the more likely you'll be granted that request to change their class. So remember, you have a seat at the table. We have the resources for you. If you have questions, please reach out. We'd be happy to help you in that process. I'm going to also review our graduation requirements. So students need 4 years of English, 3 years of math, 3 years of science, 2.5 years of social science, a semester of health, 3.5 years of PE, driver's education, the classroom portion, a semester of consumer ed, and 7 elective credits. When you add that up, that's a total of 24 credits. If your student failed a required class first semester, they have to sign up for summer school. Okay, so that information is on our district website. Registration opens January 24th. If you're not sure if your student needs summer school, again, feel free to reach out to the counselor. The reason that they have to take summer school is if they don't remediate that class over summer, they're going to be sitting in that class next year. So they're going to be in the full semester of it. They might be off track to graduate, and that could potentially jeopardize whether they graduate on time or not. As you see below, students need 6 credits every single year to stay on track. So again, if you have any questions about that, reach out to your student's counselor. Now I'm going to hand things off to freshman counselor, Mr. Brossard.
Thank you, Nicole. So just going over some of the sophomore courses that are required for sophomore year, looking at what example schedule will be on our screen, we see that there is a full year of English that will be required. So that could either be regular or honors English. We have a full year of math, which is just depending where you are placed based off your previous math course and your grade in that class. We do have a different couple options for a full year of chemistry. So that could be honors chemistry, regular chemistry, or we also have a dual credit chemistry. And then our history course, you are either going to be in a full year of AP World History or a 1 semester Revolutions Throughout History course that is also offered over summer. And so if your student was able to take that over summer, that would leave them a little bit more space in their schedule for some electives. PE, sophomore year, is going to be 1 semester of PE of their choice and then 1 semester of health. That is another elective that they are offering over summer. So if your student would like to take that over summer, that would then open up another period in their day to take an elective of their choice. We do leave a period in there for lunch as well. And then 4 spaces for an elective or study hall. So that is some options that they have there if they would like to have a study hall time, or if there's electives that they would like to explore and just different classes that they'd like to take. Those are the different periods and slots that they have open in their schedule.
Mr. Brassard, I'm going to jump back in. I think I was heavy-handed on the mouse and it skipped a slide for you. So I'm going to go back one, and then Ms. Sadler, you'll jump in after this next slide.
So just to kind of break it down by requirements as well, you could see those different options. So our 1 year of English, we have Honors English 2 or English 2. And then for math, those many options just depending on their previous math course and the grade earned in that course. For science, like we were going over, we have a year of chemistry or honors chemistry, or there is also a dual credit honors chemistry. And then again, we do have our world history, which is either going to be a 1 semester revolutions throughout history, which is available over summer, or our full year of AP world history. And then you have 1 semester of PE, 1 semester of health, which is also available over summer. And then another one that a lot of people have been asking about recently is driver's ed. So taking it during the summer, just depending when your birthday is, you would have to turn 15 by the end of May in order to be eligible to take it this summer, going into your sophomore year for freshmen. And then if you would like to take it during the school year, we will determine where the birthdays are and what semester you would be eligible to take it, and then meeting individually with students. So that way we can see if they would like to take it. That would just then take a spot of one of their electives if it is something they're interested in taking. So that would just be something we would meet with them and discuss with them. And then you also have the option to take that privately. So if you were to take that at any of the driver's ed courses outside of school, you would just bring a copy of the letter of completion to your counselor when you're done. So then we can check off that requirement, and then it leaves them another elective space open for them. And now I'm going to hand it over to Sarah Sadler, one of the junior counselors or sophomore counselors.
Hi. Yes, I'm Sarah Sadler, currently a sophomore counselor, LF through Z. So this slide is for the junior course requirements. So all juniors will take a full credit of English, which they can take either AP Language and Comp, or Honors American Studies, or regular English 3. All juniors need to take a full credit of math also, and there's many options, and your placement depends on your previous math course, which you'll be able to see which math course you're placed in when you check out your placements through PowerSchool. Another requirement is a full credit of science, also many options, and placement depends on your previous science course and the grade you earned. All juniors have to take a full credit of U.S. history. You can take 1 full credit of AP U.S. history or dual credit U.S. history. There's also Honors American Studies or regular U.S. history, all of which are full credit. All juniors are required to take a full credit of physical education, and there's multiple choices for that. So students are given the opportunity to choose. Driver's ed is a requirement. So juniors are still able to take it during the school year. It's based on birthday and eligibility, and it is also offered over summer if eligible. If students are taking it privately, simply bring in a copy of your letter of completion from your driving school, and the counselor will be able to take a copy and put it on your transcript. Okay. And then when you go into PowerSchool, you will see that 14 courses are needed, plus the four alternate backup courses. So this is an example of what a junior schedule would look like with first semester and second semester. So you see that English is all year, math is all year, science is all year, U.S. history is all year, PE is all year. All students will still have lunch. And then if a student has been on track up until junior year, they will have 2 full credit openings for electives. If a student is wanting a study hall, that would take up the spot of one of the electives. But there are definitely a lot more choices for juniors to take electives. If a junior has doesn't have enough room for a certain elective, they do have the option to add 0 hour to a semester or both semesters to open up space for an additional elective. All right, so next up is Miss Amy Buchanan.
Thanks, Ms. Sadler. Amy Buchanan, I have current juniors A through LE. So I'm going to talk about the senior course requirements for our current juniors. So as you go into Power School, you'll see different recommendations in there. So the students will either be recommended for AP Literature for the full year, or they will have the dual credit college comp or the college and career writing in the recommendations. If they have the AP Literature, they'll be taking that for the full year. If they're recommended for the other 2 courses, they would then pick an additional course from below. We have I like the word robust that Mr. Boshin started, robust amount of courses for English electives that we have to choose from. So they would pick one from the list below in addition to the college comp or the college and career writing. They would take a full year of PE, and then they have consumer or government. As you can see on the slide, there is a couple of different choices for consumer. They could take just the regular semester of consumer education. There is an option if there's not room in their schedule that they can take consumer education digitally. However, there is a requirement. They have to have a 3.5 GPA, and there's an application for that. They can take consumer over summer. And then also we do have a course that's called Independent Living. That's a full year course. If the students, in order to get the consumer education credit or meet the criteria, they do have to pass the full year of independent living. And then as far as government, we have the students would be recommended for AP Government, which is a full year course, or just the regular semester-long government course. That is also a course that is offered over the summer. Another thing, we've really been reaching out to our current juniors to make sure that they let us know that they have taken driver's ed. Obviously, if it's taken at MCHS, we already have that on their transcript. But if the students have taken it privately, it's very important to give your counselor either a copy of your license or a copy of the completed course if you haven't received your license yet, just so we can put that on your transcript. If you do take it privately, we do not give you credit. We don't give you the half of a credit for the course, but it is required for graduation, and we do, need to have that information to put in your file to put that on your transcript. So like the other counselors have brought up, when you go into Power School, you will need to have 14 courses in there. For seniors, it's a lot more options. If the student decides that they don't want a 4th year of math or don't want a 4th year of science, some of those are already preloaded into their recommended courses. However, when we meet with them one-on-one, we can remove the math and or remove the science depending on what their future plans are. We'll have that discussion with them. So if it is in there right now, a math and science, and your child doesn't want that, no worries. We can go ahead and remove that when we start meeting with them starting on the 21st. As you can see, they'll be taking a full year of English, a semester of consumer, unless they're taking the independent living. And then government could either be a full year if it's AP government or just a semester, the full year of PE, a lunch. And then as you can see, depending on if they are taking math and science or if they want to study hall, they have lots of space for electives in their schedule. In addition, if they are going to take 0 hour, then they would get 2 extra spaces. It may sound like a lot of electives that you're putting in there, but it's very important that you not only fill up the 14 courses, but also give us the 4 alternate backup courses. Just some information in regards to graduating in December. I know I've had a lot of students talk to me about that. The most important thing is, in order to be eligible, is you must have a minimum of 20 credits when the fall semester begins. So if you are interested in graduating early, please make sure that you reach out to Ms. Schock or myself if you are unsure of the amount of credits you have. I know I've had several discussions with students about needing to take some summer school courses in order to get to that 20 credits. Just some notes about graduating early. So if you are to graduate early or have the plan to graduate early, you want to make sure that you have in mind that you'll be taking 2 English electives in that one semester. Also, we do waive the second semester of PE, so you don't have to have 2 courses in there. So that's an important thing to know. Also, when you're selecting courses, it's okay to take a year-long class. You would just select the first semester of the class. So say you want to take manufacturing. Instead of choosing both semesters, you would just choose the one semester. Also, we want to make sure that you guys have a plan if you are graduating early, like what you'll do from January through May. It's very important that you have a plan, whether it's taking some courses at MCC, if you're going to work before you go to college in the fall. It's just very important that you have a plan ahead of time because you don't want to just be sitting home. Basically, the most important thing is talk to your counselors. We'll go over all this information when we meet with you one-on-one from the 21st to the 31st. But if you have any questions before then please feel free to reach out to us. And I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Schock.
Thank you. So I'm going to discuss some summer school options. A lot of this content has been covered, so it'll just kind of be a little recap. There are 3 main reasons why students typically take summer school. It could be for credit recovery. If a student has failed a class either first semester or previously, they can make that up in credit recovery over the summer. If you are not sure what would be priority for your student to recover over the summer, that would be something you would reach out to your student's counselor about. Students can sign up for driver's ed. So it's kind of a separate entity than signing up through credit recovery. And then also students have the option to take courses as get ahead courses. So if you're looking to have your student have some more elective options in their schedule, then they can certainly sign up for the get ahead courses. The required courses would be consumer ed, government, health, revolutions, and issues. All are required at some point throughout their 4 years. My daughter is coming to say hi. I'm so sorry. So these all are options that they can take over the summer, and then it would open up an elective spot during their school year. And then what you've all been waiting for is how students actually are able to view their courses in PowerSchool. So we can kind of walk through some of these steps so that you guys can look through, if you're doing it with us, we can kind of walk through all of those steps. The students are going to be, like we said, going over their courses between the 21st and the 31st with their counselors. All right, so first step is the students are going to log into PowerSchool. Once they do, there'll be a menu on their left-hand side. All the way at the bottom is going to be class registration, so they're going to choose that option. And then if they scroll all the way down, there will be the course placements. So it's listed under additional requests. Those are going to be the core courses that the students are not able to adjust while they're choosing electives. Can you close it down? Thank you. And then when they're choosing electives, they can go through each section So if they have a course pathway that they've already chosen and they want to choose to continue on, there are going to be different sections that they can click on. There'll be a pencil that they choose. And then once they do that, all of those courses that are set up in that specific content area, they are going to be able to be listed right there, and then they can choose them. Perfect. So this is what will come up if your student chose like art. They can choose from any of those art classes. It's going to have the name, how many credits they are, and then they can click OK. And then I'm going to bring it back to Mr. Mankey. Thank you.
Well done, Mrs. Schock. All right, so I'm going to give just kind of the quick summary, and then I'm going to pull all of the other counselors back on. This is also a great time for me to remind our live viewers that since this is a live stream, we're coming at you in real time. Right there in the comments box in YouTube, you can ask us questions and we can respond right now in real time. So as you collect your thoughts and possibly enter any questions in there, I'll just, again, kind of just give the quick recap here. So as far as the resources and factors to consider, we strongly encourage you to use the district course guide that has descriptions for every single class we offer. Mrs. Frederick put together a great website that also collects all of the resources related to course selection. This week, students are entering in their electives in PowerSchool, and they're also checking those core placements. So again, the English, the social science, the math, the science that they're in for the following year. For current juniors, again, consider, as was mentioned before, whether or not to include a math and or science for the following year. I'll give one really quick tip from me on that topic. If a student is likely to run into math in some kind of educational setting in their next step, we do recommend taking a close look at taking a math class senior year. Again, so we review those core placements. We enter the electives in PowerSchool. Starting next week, your student will meet one-on-one with their individual counselor to review everything, ask lingering questions. Again, for current juniors who do not want the math or science that might be in there, that your counselor can remove that then, and you can replace it with the elective choice that you would like to replace it with. That level change form, can't stress that enough. If you're looking to move up or down in rigor in one of those course areas, or if you're just looking for better balance amongst all 6 or 7 courses that a student takes, consider doing that level change form. Summer school registration opens up on the 24th as well, and we hope to have everything with the exception of summer school wrapped up by January 31st. All right, I'm going to pull all my fellow colleagues back on screen. And I will give one more reminder for our live viewers that, again, you can ask us questions right now. We don't want you leaving this live stream with any doubts about the process, about the resources. So now is the time to enter in questions right there in YouTube in the comments section. Hit enter. We can see the questions you post and we can respond to it right now in real time for you. To my colleagues, as we give our live viewers a chance to kind of ponder and ask any questions, I see one just popped up here. I'll take a look at that one in a second. Mr. Boshin, I'm going to throw a question at you, sir. If you could give one piece of feedback to our families regarding how to approach course selection, what would that piece of feedback be?
I think, it's really that picking with a purpose. Don't necessarily take classes that your friends take, or even worse off, your significant other wants, because high school relationships are so fragile. And I would hate to see you locked up in a class that you can't get out of just due to the fact that you wanted to be with other people.
Well said, Mr. Boshin. We had a great question come in, so thank you to this parent for asking a question and being the first one to do that. Again, we invite all of our other live viewers. Now's a great time to ask those questions. Type them right into the comment section in YouTube, and we can see and respond. I'm going to look in the direction of Ms. Bacigalupo or Ms. Sadler for this one. This question comes from the parent of a current sophomore, and the question is, if my student signs up for the English American Studies course, do they also have to take the History American Studies course? Ms. Bacigalupo, Ms. Sadler, would either of you like to take this one?
I can take it. So yeah, the Honors American Studies classes, English and Social Science, students have to be in both of them. The reason being the teachers work together and they do projects that cover both of those classes. Those classes are, we call them, they're kind of like married. You have to do both. The most popular notable project that they do is Chautauqua, which is where students, they research a certain figure in the history and they present on it in front of other students. They dress up, they do a speech. It's a pretty cool experience, but students do have to take both. If your student does not want to take both of those classes, they either have to go with the AP Language or English 3 for English, or for social science, they could do the dual credit US history or regular US history.
Well said. I hope that answers the question to the parent that asked that. We'll give one more quick pause here to again allow our live viewers to ask those questions. Again, thank you to that parent who reached out there. I hope that helped you. Let's go with Miss Buchanan. What is one piece of feedback that you think is important to pass along to your families?
I would say, especially for juniors, it's important to explore any interests that you have as they are going into their last year at MCHS. Whether it's, like, oh, I kind of like working with my hands, then take a DIY course, take a woods course, or if they like cooking or whatever their interests are. Especially senior year, having the opportunity to have a more open schedule and pick more electives. I think it's a great opportunity to choose as many interest areas that you can so you can have a better idea of what career path you want to go into.
All right. Well said, Miss Buchanan. I am not seeing any other questions come in. So I'm going to start the wrap up. I'll keep my eye on my questions over there to see if any others roll in here in the next moment. Thank you to our live viewers for tuning in. If you're watching the recorded version of this, we hope that this helps your experience with course selection as well. Again, this week, your students are entering courses and reviewing those placed ones in Power School. Starting next week, they will meet one-on-one with their counselor. The level change request form is due by the end of this month as well. All right. On behalf of my colleagues, we hope that this presentation helped. Please reach out with any further questions. And remember, what are you looking forward to?